This is Ash from Crack Minis, and today I'm going to be making a MECHAORKZILLA. Yeah, a MECHAORKZILLA. And I'm going to be talking about a game that I've made. I'm hopefully going to be doing some videos on, and yeah, I think that's everything. Enjoy. Okay, so first off we're going to need some tinfoil. I use it in a lot of my big monster builds, so yeah, why would this one be any different? The reason I use the tinfoil is because I'm going to cover it in sprue goo. Okay, so I'll just go with a brief explanation of what sprue goo is. Sprue goo is what happens when you drop a load of little bits of sprue, you know, the excess you got off your models, into a jar with acetone in it. It sort of just goes into this ooey gooey mass that you can work like a clay, similar to like slime, but you don't want your kids playing with it because you know acetone's bad for you. When it first comes out of the jar, it's pretty juicy, so you want to make sure you're wearing gloves for that bit, at least until an outer skin forms. It won't be 100% solid after the skin forms, but it usually takes about 72 hours for it to harden all the way up. I waited till the skin formed and then I pushed bits into it, just because it was more workable in that state. Only issue I came across was I pushed that bulb right onto its stomach, and because there was no air getting to it, the acetone inside sort of leached into the plastic of the half a tree bulb thing that I used, and made that soft as well. I had this old RC car tyre lying around, just chopped it in half, stuck it onto the either side at the bottom, just for the legs to have something to connect to. It obviously had holes in it, which I filled with just a base, just a random base that fit into there. I'm not sure what size the base was, it just plops the stress straight in. Alright, so let's move on to the arms and legs. So for the arms and legs, I got these kinetic toys. You just clip them together and they're posable. The idea was for me to be able to have this thing move around, you know, like so I could do some stop motion or something with it. But it was just too top heavy and it kept tipping over constantly. Also, they're just too big. I mean, the thing would have been ridiculously tall if I'd have done this. It's already standing at about 25 centimetres, which is alright, because it's going to get proxied in as a stompa, so it's pretty close to the size of a stompa. So I glued the legs in place and then I got on to making the body. I'll save the arms for later on. And now for the body, I used just mostly bits of junk that I had lying around. I wanted some spikes on the back, so I put bolster there, and then started just filling in gaps as best I could with different random pieces of junk. My biggest regret with this is that I didn't bulk out the sprue goo enough, so a lot of it was hidden under all the plastic so I could get the dimensions I wanted. The reason the gloves just magically disappeared then is because I kept gluing them to the model, and it's hard to get that stuff off. And I'm seem less likely to glue myself to things if I'm not wearing the gloves, weirdly enough. Although, to be fair, I do tend to glue myself to a lot of things quite often, which is not something I thought I'd say in adulthood, but I chose this hobby. Also, like and subscribe if you're not already. Does me a favour. It means I get to glue myself to myself more often. So, while I'm gluing stuff to other stuff on screen, I want to talk to you about that game that I've made. Well, I'm in the process of making. I'm on the second draft of the rulebook now. I say rulebook, it's a one-page game, so it's not really that difficult. It's all on one sheet. I'm just trying to make sure that it's simple and fun. I have a 14-year-old stepson, and I wanted something that I could introduce him to wargaming with. So he's at the stage now where he's like, "Ooh, the models are cool," but I'm a bit apprehensive about showing him how the mechanics of like Warhammer work. So I wanted to slowly introduce him. You know, like bring him into it. Just let him have fun in a game that takes like 20 minutes to play. And yeah, so it involves tanks and coins. Real simple mechanics. I'll share more as I go for the next couple of videos, obviously, because I'm going to be making the tanks, and then I'll probably do a battle report. I still need to play test it a bit, just to work out some kinks. I'll let you see the draft at the end of the video, because well, I want to show it off, because I feel like I've done an alright job, but I want other people to see it. Oh, and it's called Flipping Tanks. So that's Flipping Tanks. Alright, so let's get started on the arms on this thing. See, the arms weren't that complicated. I had basically the idea for the arms before I had the idea for the rest of the model. And I had this like half toy crane thing, loads of little guns, and a hand on one arm. And then I just turned a tank treads into a chainsaw for the other one. Just because I wanted it to have a chainsaw arm. I mean, it's come out a little bit ski whiff for the scale, you know, because it's a bit short, but it feels a bit small. I could have gone bigger, but still at the same time I'm happy with the way it's come out. Also, what's more orky than a chainsaw arm? Oh, actually, one of those giant saw discs. That'd be more orky, but oh well, I've done this now. I guess if you were an orc you'd say, "It looks dead killy. We're proper dick." I was proper impressed with myself for this one because I managed to get the teeth onto the actual chainsaw blade. It took me ages to cut the little bits of plastic out and glue them into place. It's not perfect, but still, dead happy with it. So once I'd got like most of the form filled out, I had all this like little gaps and things like that. And the only thing that I know works and could fill the little gaps and still look alright once painted all orky looking was EVA foam. So I was like, okay, and I used like 18 sheets. No, I used like 3 sheets. It just took ages to get it all on. I'm going to skip the rest of it, of me putting it on, and just show you what it looked like after I'd finished gluing it all on, because I wasn't going to edit 3 hours of footage for a 10-second clip. Anyway, after that it's time to throw on the gubbins. So got my little tub of gubbins out, and then just went a bit crazy. Threw everything on there as much as I could, and then I put some beads on it. Now that means I'm ready for painting, and if I'm ready for painting, I'm ready for talking about what this is and how it fits in my world. I know I said I'm going to be using it as a stompa proxy, but obviously I want it to fit into the thing that I'm making as best it can, because I'm just shoehorning stuff in, like cowboys who think they're in a western, and random tanks and spaceships and aliens and weird monsters covered in plates of metal. So yeah, let's see what I can do. In a previous episode I mentioned this guy called the Upcycler. Well, the Upcycler is this evil villain that roams like the world that I've made, trying to build an army of cyborgs, and uses different parts of people and creatures and jams them together with robots and stuff to make an army. Well, he's making an army. Real bad. Anyway, before he was like the super villain that he is at the moment, he was just a normal guy. And one day he's out taking a walk or something, and he comes across this stray animal. Looks like a dog. Probably a dog. Anyway, he looks after this dog and it starts getting bigger. But it doesn't stop getting bigger. It continually gets bigger to the point where his bones can't support it. And it's just this blob that woofs. He just assumes that it's probably got into the local waste treatment plant and eaten something it shouldn't have. But he liked the dog before it turned into this big blob that woofs. And he decides that he's going to keep it alive and starts upgrading it, well, upcycling, using old parts of robotics just to keep the thing alive and make sure it stays alive, because he likes it. It's his dog. Anyway, obviously he turns evil, and he's got this dog, and he just keeps adding bits to it and making it bigger and stronger. Then he decides he can use it as a weapon, and stick some guns on it and a chainsaw, and you got this ginormous MECHAORKZILLA named the Dog. It follows him everywhere, especially when he's in battle, keeping him safe. So it's the MECHAORKZILLA called Dog. There we go. I did just make that up on the fly, so it probably sounds terrible, but here we go. That's what I got. I built the thing without thinking of a story for it, so you just have to deal with it. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, if anyone's curious, I used the TT Combat basic paint set for the base coat, and then highlighted obviously with some Citadel and a few other bits that I had, like army painter, greens, just stippling on. I can't remember the full range of paints because I've tidied them away, and I have a head like a sieve. So, sorry about that. And the last thing I did before the spinny bit was I tried to do some object light sourcing. I didn't pull it off. Well, I don't think I pulled it off on this one. I think this is the wrong sort of model for that. It doesn't look too bad. I definitely need to work on it though. But you don't learn anything if you don't push yourself. You know, it's worth a try. Oh, I've just remembered I've still got a piece of the camera to do about this game, haven't I? Okay. Let me psych myself up. Alright. I should be ready now. Okay. I've recorded this 6 times now. So, yeah. Here's the game. Let it load in. There we go. Loading. Let the camera adjust, sorry. So, this is the game. I'm still playing about with it. It's not ready for me to share the whole thing yet. I mean, you can obviously just pause it, zoom in, and get all the rules in, but it's not done. So it's not ready for me to share. Pretty close though. I'm looking 80% of the way there. Oh, if you're wondering why the t-shirt's changed, it's because it's a different day. It took me 2 days to edit the video, do all the audio and stuff. So, yeah. Keep an eye out on my Instagram, and there'll be stuff popping up on there. Obviously, it's going to be mentioned in the next episode because I'm going to be making a tank for it, or 2. I might do 2. I don't know yet. But yeah, stay tuned. Oh, I forgot to mention the spinny bit. Yeah, sit a bit.